Hey y'all.
I don't see how you sit, baby, you with me. Ain't a friend and go on cash, body Coca-Cola. Show me that you're formal, baby, like a four. Hey, you can't give it to no other body, cause
Welcome back to T Baby TV. I am your hostess with the mostest. Today, this video will be my labor and delivery story time. There are a few people that don't really know my full labor and delivery story, so I just figured I'd come on here and I'd talk about the absolute best day of my life and let everybody know. Let's start from back when I said I found out I was pregnant early July and my heart dropped and I literally was pooping bricks. I was so scared. Clearly I knew it was a possibility, but I was just so terrified and it was like really unexpected. Pretty much my whole entire pregnancy, I was sick. I did not have HG. I just think that my body and baby girl did not get along well. I pretty much threw up every day from 4 months to the day I literally was in labor. I was going to doctor's appointments and everything was fine. She was measuring well. She was measuring small, but that's because my man and his side of the family have small babies. So we were kind of expecting not to have anything over a 6-pound baby. Fast forward to the 36, 38 week range of my pregnancy, I went to the doctors. It was like my last appointment and they were telling me that there's something they do where they check for the fetus to do a breathing exercise, which is basically to exercise their lungs in the womb so that when they come out and they have their first cry, you know, that their lungs are working well. And so I was at my ultrasound and it was one of my last ultrasounds before I picked, you know, my hospital and my team and everything. And the ultrasound tech, you know, she was talking to me. Everything was real normal. And then all of a sudden she got quiet. And I got scared because, you know, they'll never say anything to scare you or make you nervous. They would rather relay the information to your provider and have them come in and better explain it because they don't really know everything. And this is no shade to ultrasound tech. My midwife came in and told me there is a thing that they look for, which is the breathing practice, and Pooch did not do that. So my midwife was basically afraid that she wasn't getting enough oxygen from my placenta and that if I were to go into natural labor, it would be difficult, it'd be hard on her and basically a risky labor. And I was really disappointed hearing this because I wanted to have an all-natural water birth. And at this point, her telling me I had to be induced, I couldn't do any of that. Here I am in the doctor's office crying on the phone with my husband, telling him I'm not gonna go into natural labor. I can't have my water birth. I was so serious about my water birth. Although I was disappointed, I was excited that I would get to meet her sooner. My original due date was March 5th and I ended up having her on the 21st of February. So she was about 2 weeks early, but I didn't care. I was happy she was here. After my midwife came in and told me all of that information and that I would have to be induced, my midwife gave me 2 decisions. I could either walk across the skyway to the hospital on that exact day of the appointment, check in and be induced then, or I could just come back in 2 days. My appointment was on a Friday and I ended up just coming on Sunday and then I had Pooch on Monday. I opted for that because I was unprepared. I went home after that appointment and I tried to kickstart labor naturally. I was drinking raspberry tea. I was watching so many YouTube videos about yoga poses and things I could do to make myself go into natural labor instead of getting induced, because in the beginning of my pregnancy, I watched so many labor and delivery stories and videos and I scared myself. Nothing worked. I had a couple contractions, but nothing serious to the fact that I thought that I was going into labor. I let family know, like, hey y'all, it's baby time. 2 days. I remade the bassinet. I don't know how many times I put a new blanket on the bassinet. I had her first day outfit, all the bags packed. I was ready to go. Although I was super nervous because this wasn't a part of the plan, but God's plan. Let me stop. The day of induction comes, we wake up, we go get breakfast, and we go to the hospital. As soon as we got to the hospital, they had us check in on the midwife floor. They had us sign some papers. Avery, of course, had to bring his PS4, so he was asking the nurses how to set that up. They got me in a gown and got my IV. I was just laying in the bed watching Grey's Anatomy. The nurse came in and was like, yeah, I can get you guys the menus. At this time, it was probably like lunchtime. We ordered some food, continued to just relax. Nothing really happened. At the end of the first night though, they decided that they wanted to start my misoprostol, which is a tiny capsule that they can either give you orally or vaginally, and I opted for oral. That kickstarts labor naturally, kind of, so that you don't have to go the Pitocin route. So I ended up getting my first couple of doses and nothing was really happening. But they did tell me once I got hooked up to the monitor that I was already having contractions. I didn't feel anything personally. I did feel slight cramping because once you're pregnant for a while, aches and pains become normal. But the nurse ended up telling me I had been having contractions since the minute I walked in the hospital and got hooked up to the monitor. They already felt like they weren't going to be able to give me Pitocin because my body was trying to do things on its own. Thank God. Because baby, I did not want that Pitocin. After about my 4th dose of misoprostol, that's when my contractions started to kind of pick up. They were more frequent, they were a little more aggressive. I knew like, okay, she's either coming late tonight, early tomorrow, because it was back to back. I mean, every 2-3 minutes my contractions was like a 7 to 8 intensity wise. My first midwife for the night came in and she was just asking me some questions. They did annoying COVID testing, of course, asking if I was having any extreme amount of discomfort or pain, if there was anything that I needed. They were very, very sweet people, every single last one of them. The midwives, the nurses, they were very caring. After my first midwife came in, she was like, you know, the nurse will come in every hour to check on you, check your contractions, check your IV, you know, basically see if you need anything. And she just kind of left and was like, you know, I'll let you get some rest. It's going to be a long night probably. That was around my 4th dose of misoprostol, but I want to say closer to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning is when the other nurse came and gave my final dose of misoprostol and checked my contractions and saw that they were still happening every 2 to 3 minutes. But at this point, they weren't as intense. So fast forward to the next morning, around 6-7 a.m. is when I woke up from my contractions being so strong. They were damn near out of 10. They were happening still every 2 to 3 minutes. My nurses were coming in and checking on me, making sure I was okay. I sat on the ball for a couple of hours and they started getting way more intense. And that's when my nurse came back in and asked if I wanted to take a hot bath because there weren't any other pain relievers that I wanted at that exact moment. So she offered I take a hot bath. At that moment, I wanted anything that was going to take away the discomfort. So I ended up taking a hot bath. The slant of the tub and the way them contractions were hitting my back were not bestie westies. So I ended up just getting out of the tub and going back to the ball because that was my best friend. I had been doing that pretty much all day. My second to last centimeter check, she told me I was at 6 and I had already known I'd been at 6 for probably 2 hours. My nurse told me that there was a fentanyl option, not the fentanyl that you think about that's on the street. This is medical grade fentanyl, and I'm not at all glorifying drugs or drug addiction, but I completely understand how someone can get addicted. The relief it gave me, I continuously wanted that. Only because in that moment I was so uncomfortable, I was willing to do any and everything to get the pain away. While you're in labor, they can only give you 5 doses of fentanyl in a 24-hour period. And once I got to my 5th dose, mentally freaking out, screaming, crying, because what am I going to do from this point? I personally didn't want an epidural because in the beginning I wanted to do a natural birth. So I already mentally prepared myself to experience pain and discomfort, and I didn't want to get the epidural. My mind changed very quickly on that. After my 5th dose of fentanyl, my nurse was so sweet. She just kept on telling me, just because you get an epidural, it doesn't make you any less of a mom. You're still strong. You still went this long and this far without it. Like I said, I was still stuck at 6 centimeters, so I just decided to get the epidural. Worst experience ever. 0 out of 10 do not recommend, because I don't know if there's anybody that knows the process of getting epidural, but it all is happening while you are contracting. Yeah. Such a weird feeling. I can feel the little tube going through my back. Really weird. It was about maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock, and they had given me the first test dose, which is basically just a little amount of the epidural to make sure that it's in the right place and that you don't feel any of the pain. You still feel pressure and discomfort, but you don't feel the sharp pain that comes with the contraction. After I got the epidural, I was just lying in bed watching TV, just waiting for things to happen. And at that point, I started to feel that bearing down sensation, where you may hear some people say it feels like you have to take a big poop. That is a real feeling. It was so uncomfortable. So my next midwife ended up coming in and telling me, yeah, you know, that's the pressure from the baby engaging with your pelvis. If the pressure gets stronger, then call me in. But right now, let's just see what the epidural does. Let's give it a little more time. I'll come back and do another check on you. Pooch was progressing more than me, which is why I decided to get the epidural as well. I just felt like my body wasn't moving as fast as she was. She was ready to come out, but my body wasn't ready to let her out. About 20 minutes passes and that bearing down big poop sensation gets a lot stronger. So I called her back in and she said, all right, I'll do another check. Let's see where you're at. I was fully dilated, child. And my water broke as she was checking. Right when she took her fingers out and said, yeah, you're fully dilated. Whoosh. She said, all right, I'm gonna go get the NICU, because as I was explaining in the beginning, she was measuring 36 weeks and I was actually 38 weeks. They went to get NICU just in case she did come out and was having trouble breathing on her own. When she came back, she told me, all right, girl, it's time to push. I started pushing at 8:54 and I pushed her out at 8:57. I'm gonna include a small clip of right before Avery cut the umbilical cord.
All right, Dad. I'm gonna turn places so you can.
You guys want me to cut it? Oh my god.
It's like a thick rubber band,
So
okay?
you're gonna cut it right there. It's really
In this
nice.
middle right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really strong one.
Yep,
Just go
there you
all the
go.
way through there?
Yeah. It's
Yep,
gonna
it's
take a
gonna-
few.
Like a saw.
Okay, Dara, please open.
All right, I'm
Perfect.
gonna pull you.
Okay.
You're hired.
And then I'm gonna put a couple pictures of when she like actually came out and was on my chest or whatever. So she was born at 8:57 on February 21st of 2022, and she came out a wailing, a screaming, a crying, and they brought her over to me and I could not stop staring at her. I couldn't even cry. I was so exhausted. I was so tired from fighting them contractions. I was fighting for my life. But baby, best believe when I got in that postpartum room, I was wailing tears. I could not stop staring at her. She's just so cute. She's my bestie. Fast forward to today, Miss Girl is about to be 1 whole year old next month. She's the greatest thing that I've ever done in my whole entire life. I wouldn't take anything back. I wouldn't redo anything. All of my decisions, final. No regrets. 10 out of 10 would labor again. I'm just really blessed and grateful that I didn't have a horror story for like my labor and delivery experience, because that was literally one of my biggest fears, that when I thought about the day I gave birth to my child, I would have trauma instead of a great deal of positive emotions. Yeah, that's it for this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you send it to your mama, your grandmama, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your sister, brother, side piece. It don't matter who it is. Make sure you share. Comment down below any other story times, anything you want me to do. As I said in my first video, my page is going to be all over the place. But yeah, all right, y'all. Bye. Okay, not me blinking. It's gonna come out. Like, should we be worried?